to everyone's worst nightmare in terms of koshering the kitchen, and it's not the refrigerator, it's the oven and the stove. So let's try to figure out exactly what we're dealing with here. First of all, we have to know that there are different types of ovens. There's a conventional gas oven, a good old-fashioned oven that we all grew up with, which basically runs on the principle that underneath there is a fire, and when you turn on the fire, it heats up the entire cavity of the oven, and on top we have the burners. That's the good old-fashioned oven. Today, we rarely find that. Today we have all kinds of fancy ovens, electronic ignition, stove tops that are absolutely flat, that you don't even see a flame. So there are different types of ovens that we have to deal with. So let's go one by one through some of the basic ovens that we deal with. This particular oven is a self-cleaning oven, which facilitates koshering the oven for Pesach immeasurably. Now, assuming that we're dealing with a conventional gas oven, the good old-fashioned oven that I referred to a moment ago, let's take a look inside the oven, see what we have to do here. So, first thing that we have are the racks. Now, on these racks, we put pans for roasting or baking on these racks. So these racks would require, as I said before, not liben chomer, which is red hot, but liben kal, because again, the food is cooked inside a pan. So these racks must be thoroughly cleaned with easy off, steel wool, whatever you have, to make sure that there's nothing noticeable, no sticky residue on them. Once that's done, we pay attention to the inside of the oven, the cavity itself, to the sides, the bottom, the top, and the back of the oven. So all of those surfaces have to be cleaned with Easy Off. And if you once you clean it with the Easy Off and you inspect it and you see some spots that are stubborn, try it again with the Easy Off. If after the second application of Easy Off that spot does not come off, it can be dismissed. We don't have to worry about it because the koshering of the oven will take care of that. Now, here on the door, we have to be very, very careful. And I caution people not to start disassembling oven doors because these are made a certain way for safety and for heat containment. So I don't recommend that people, as often happens when people are preparing for Pesach, they start disassembling their ovens, then they realize that they're not an oven technician when they try to put it back together again. So clean as carefully as you can around the outer perimeter of the oven door and the glass, where the glass comes into the metal. Clean that as well as you can, and just leave that for a moment. We come now to the bottom of the oven, to the broiler part. Now, some people actually broil meats and fish in this part of the oven. It's a little bit difficult to clean that because it involves a large area. This one is not that complicated, but some of them could be very complicated in terms of surfaces to clean. What's recommended is that this be cleaned as best it can, closed up, and not used for Pesach. Now we come to the stove top, and this presents us with a number of interesting possibilities and scenarios. As you know, the pots go on top of these racks that you can clearly see here, and the fire is used directly with these racks. Now, often pots boil over, and you'll find stuck-on food on these grates. Now, what should be done with these grates is the following. They should be cleaned down, scrubbed down as best as possible. What you may do with them is put them inside the oven when you're koshering the inside of the oven, and for the period of time that it's in there, that will be enough to kosher the stovetops. Another option, again, exercising extreme care and dealing with the right type of oven or stovetop, we clean all of this off, we cover it with a sheet of aluminum foil, and which contains the heat. We turn on the burners and it contains the heat, and it will heat the racks up to a degree that koshers it. I don't advise many people to do that because it could be very dangerous, because many people decide to put layers upon layers of aluminum foil on here, turn on the fires, and when they go to check to see if the grates got hot, or red hot, or even chomer, they lift up the corner and there's a tremendous rush of heat, and people have been injured very seriously looking under that foil. If you're going to do that, and again I say that you do that at your own risk, if you're going to do that, before you decide to check underneath, turn off the fires. Now, until now we've been talking about the conventional gas oven, the good old-fashioned oven. There are different types of ovens. There are self-cleaning ovens, for example. Self-cleaning oven presents us with the pleasure of pleasures of koshering an oven, because all we have to do is set it on the self-clean cycle. This takes care of only the inside. Set it on the self-clean cycle. The various ovens have different levels. There are 3 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours. If you set it on the minimum self-clean cycle, that's more than enough to kosher it for Pesach. If you want, as an extra added bonus, you could take the racks from the top and put those inside the oven before you kosher it on the self-clean cycle, but check with the manufacturer to make sure that these grates can withstand the heat that's going to be generated inside the oven, to make sure that they don't crack from the intense heat. That you check with the manufacturer only. Now, there are certain types, very new electronic stoves that present us with a number of challenges. So the electronic stoves are a completely flat surface, and as opposed to here where we have a burner that the flame comes out of, because this is a gas oven, that thing is totally flat, and you have a glass top to it. Underneath that glass top is a heating element, and when you turn that when you turn the knob on, what happens is the area right over that becomes very hot, and that's, you actually put a pot on top of a flat glass surface. So how does one kosher that? Ideally, you would need leaven to kosher that type of a stovetop, but we can't do that because if we use fire on it, it's going to crack. So the option is the following. You take the oven top and you clean it down. Again, you have to be very careful about how to clean those down because it's a glass top. It's a specially tempered glass. You can't scratch it. You should be very careful with it. So clean it down. Turn on the individual burners. So you're going to have a fire here, a fire here, a fire here, and a fire here. So the minute you turn that on, the heat that's generated over the burner area is enough to kosher that particular area. The question is, what happens to all the other surfaces in between the burners and around the sides? So practically speaking, again, you would need leaven on it, but we can't do that. So all of those areas outside the burner areas on those flat top electric stoves, we should cover them with, we should use trivets, little plates that are used to put hot pots on. So put one, couple of them around, one here, one there, just to be able to move pots around so that you don't have to rest a pot on any area that was not kosher. So that takes care of our stovetop and our oven. And again, I caution you that there are different types of ovens and different types of stoves. And the way that they're going to be kosher, we have to be extremely careful, because what we don't want to do is destroy a piece of equipment such as an expensive oven in koshering it for Pesach.